Commanding General YAHANNA will be doing the opening of the Feast of Tabernacles in King James Castle. Finally, the truth about King James, a black man who helped to preserve and safeguard the Bible. Live September 29th, 2023.
I wish at this point to particularly to apologize deeply on behalf of the chiefs and people.
Commanding General YAHANNA will be doing the opening of the Feast of Tabernacles in King James Castle. Finally, the truth about King James, a black man who helped to preserve and safeguard the Bible. Live September 29th, 2023. Commanding General YAHANNA live at King James Castle in Scotland. Come on down and support the I.S.U.P.K. UK. Lift the glass, come and join the brotherhood and drink with the ancient as we celebrate and keep the Feast of Tabernacles for our King Yahweh in King James Castle, bringing his crew of heavy hitters. Commanding General YAHANNA will put 12 shield General Muhammad scripture breakdown class up against anyone, against any biblical scholar, untested, unchallenged, I.S.U.P.K, undefeated. Leviticus chapter 23, the Feast of Tabernacles in a black man's castle, hosted in Scotland, the United Kingdom, UK. Commanding General YAHANNA will be doing the opening of the Feast of Tabernacles in King James Castle, Thursday, September 28th, Scripture Breakdown class. Friday, September 29th, there will be a King James Castle tour, also a Johnny Walker Distillery tour, and Friday night, the opening of the Feast of Tabernacles. Saturday, September 30th, we will have camp on the streets of England. Sunday, October 1st, the UK Cookout. Monday, October 2nd, the Warwickshire Castle Tour. I.S.U.P.K under Commanding General YAHANNA at King James Castle in England. This is an absolutely monumental, historical event. Want us
to stop. But man, don't we deserve a shot? Don't we deserve a shot to be the Lord's people? Israel, let's do it!
Hear the hunger. Hear the hunger in my voice. They used to tell me to speak up. The problem was of what I was saying, they couldn't keep up. Instead of moving around with some patience, they tried to speed up. It got colder than a bitter bitch, found me a way to heat up. What's a favor for a favor if we all didn't make it? Kept it 100 with everybody, but they just gon' change. I ain't get caught up in the hype, cause I ain't feel like I made it. Couldn't picture me here now, but here's your moment to frame it. And I ain't never understand that self-entitlement spirit. I felt your vibe, I don't wanna get near it. Before I made the appearance, I took a second, took a look in the mirror. This God, Lord, the only thing that I fear. Y'all got me fucked up. It's all passion, it's tradition, it ain't fashion. It's no action, they make threats and it's still passing. I think massive, no respond, that's still tact. Y'all should quit rapping. Cheap shots cause I'm cinematic. I ain't average, I'm an overthrow fanatic. How I go, you lose and win like asthmatics. I got first, that's automatic. I'm the best in my division. In the ghetto like the pigeons, in the hood like the engine. You a bird for that chicken. I don't fake split decisions cause my mind made up, nigga. We in the end of time, but my time ain't up, nigga. I was young and running wild and wide-eyed like a cabbage patch. I had to get it as vivid, adapted to my habitat. It's certain shit I won't do, certain shit you can't prove. My shit sound like a payday, yours like more when the rent. If I had $1 for every dime you counted, I would be broke. Watch it be close, got a better chance, boxing the goal. And they know I'm raw, and they know the squad, and I'm feeling large, still in charge. I don't make it follow, I follow the law. Standing tall like they here on Mars. I just got a call from my bro, he behind the wall, told me let it off. Niggas lying for some cat, I got a different line in me. Everybody intimidated, I got that God in me. You get focused on them dimes, I'd rather keep my nine with me. Help me get this off the ground, just know you won't fly with me now.
I try to make the news, I ain't playing by the rules. I've been trying to play it cool, but that ain't gon' be the building. Y'all out here looking like fool. Home the truth, I ain't never had to choose.
I'm trying to get beamed up, man, y'all try to make the news. I ain't playing by the rules. I've been trying to play it cool, but that ain't gon' pay the bill. Y'all out here looking like fool. Home of the truth, y'all ain't never had to choose. Trying to get beamed up, man, y'all try to make the news. I ain't playing by the rules. I've been trying to play it cool, but that ain't gon' pay the bill. Y'all out here looking like fool. Home of the truth, y'all ain't never had to choose. Trying to get beamed up.
Yeah, that's light shit. Send my bro a kite quick. Ties of war, we ain't forget about you. Keep your light lit. Rappers can't see. Most of them scared to witness. Go and close your eyes. There's one right here for the trenches. Bad bitches, natural hair or extensions. Hood niggas that'll poly grip like some dentures. Brothers on them fences. 23 and 1 out. Praying that commissary hit before it run out. Bitches on the gram, dog filter with their tongue out. Couldn't stay home because they found the dugout. Closed casket, burner in the low jacket. My co-captain, riding on these whole rappers. My hoes fabulous. Now I don't mean that derogatory, but I'm a player and there's no my women riding for me. I avoided Maury. I got 2 jets. If I can't make it through for them, then I'm useless. Sit down that roof, Chris, with a couple bosses. After the war, just to count our losses. It's not many. You see a smile on my face, but I'm not friendly. Gone on my waist, sipping white Henny. I just hope this shit go right. Living in the dark, you don't know light. Gotta got my heart with my bow tie. Waiting on this war in my whole life. I just hope this shit go right. Living in the dark, you don't know light. Gotta got my heart with my bow tie. Living in this war in my whole life. My whole life. It's so melodic. When I be dropping this ebonics, this ghetto phonics, it got me on the level supersonic. My bomb atomic, and you know where you can find me. Somewhere probably folding this paper origami. My name is pure as Dasani, my wave is like a tsunami. I went from 0 to 100, feeling like Ricky Bobby. I made a deal with the Reaper. Got a couple wives, they some keepers. Talk a lot of shit, but you can't walk a mile in my sneakers. Bitches go to Miami, come home with change features. Now she got a BBL, her ass fatter. Trying to show up all them niggas that laughed at her. Now when they see her, they only wanna fuck her. They just wanna touch her, they don't wanna cuff her. They just wanna come and kick it with her like a punter. Turned her to a runner, now it's all aboard the train. Fenty on her face, but it's not concealing the pain, it's a shame. That's why I'm in the hood like some rap snacks. I know niggas kill you and your mama for a scat pack. Dark tint, matte black, they do it for half that. Had you like 90s Missy in a fucking trash bag. I'm from Philly, we don't do bank accounts, just cash app. I spit a verse and I just watch the time slow. This that guy flow, this that shit that rappers die for. This that uncut Taha Wall straight from Pablo Escobar. I be at the bar like Moscato. They think it's effort, but no, this that
Hey, Shalom Yahweh Shem Shai Thumb to all the brothers, Yahweh Shemar with Thumb Bashem Shai to all the sisters, Priest and Officer 1000 Zabaja of the I.S.U.P.K under Commanding General YAHANNA. Right, we're back at it again. It's Saturday night. We got another scripture breakdown class. I got a couple of topics that we're going to go into. Today's a double hitter for you, right? So you're in for something special. We got two topics we can go into, right? Especially surrounding like what's happening to the young men in Toronto and cities like Montreal. The first topic is definitely going to it's going to help your sons, right? If you got sons who are in the world and stuck in these streets, right, they should be tuning into these classes because the Christian church is not going to help them. Right, give me a moment. Who do I got with me? Hey, Shalom, Officer Adiyar, Officer Shariwan, what's going on? If y'all are there and y'all can hear me, I'm gonna get these links ready for the class for my topic. All right, as the other brothers come in, we're gonna continue. Hold up. Okay. Why is that there? That should not be there. Give me a moment. I'm going to be getting these links, the signing links for you. If you're new to this, right, we drop signing links at the beginning of class and sign out links at the ending of class, right? And these signing links are basically to ensure track your attendance and track your attendance for your benefits. Basically, like it's going to benefit your life to be in school in the I.S.U.P.K, right? Because it sure has benefited my life. With the sign-in attendance, you get a name, right? At the end of 90 days, you'll get a Hebrew name, which that's definitely going to be something to rob. Officer Shari 1. Hold up. Whoa, what is going on with this damn keyboard? Hold up, we rocking out. Sure, you want you're in the back. Whenever you're ready, you can come up. Give me a moment. Also, Officer Shariwan, if you can hear me, when you get the chance, add the sign-in links. Right, so I got a couple articles that we're going to go into. First, let me get the first one. Let's see what the first one says. Okay, so there was a project that happened, right? If you're not familiar with what I'm talking about, right, a project is a raid, right? The police in the city of Toronto, they're going to let you sell your dope and shoot your guns and do all the things that you think you're getting away with for a time, right? They let you they let you appear like you're doing these things and getting away with it, right? So they'll let you think that you're doing these things and getting away with it simply so they could have a stronger chance at convicting you, right? You're going to commit as most crimes as you think you're going to get away with, and eventually they're going to have all that evidence stacked up on you, and basically is going to be what they're coming for you. Listen, it's going to be a hard case to fight and win. It's mind-blowing. Salakia, I don't understand. There is no other way to explain this other story that we got going on tonight other than if you've seen the movie Lord of War, right? That's basically where Nicolas Cage, he's playing the Russian arms dealer that Joe Biden traded for the sister Brittany Griner, right? So in this movie, he keeps getting away with selling guns internationally, selling weapons internationally, Russian military weapons internationally. He gets away with it. And he basically explains, they're letting get away with this for now, so I could basically, they can have someone to fall on later, right? They need this thing to happen, so it's he's a part of their machine. They need that to happen. And listen, as I read this next story, it's the only conclusion that you could think of, right? But that's for you later. So right now I got a story. What story? So this is off of CP24. Nothing short of shocking. 23 charged, 8 million worth of drugs, firearms seized by OPP in Project Mafat. Right. So this is a project that happened not too long ago. Right. This story, you can find it on CP24 right now. It was published Wednesday, August the 9th, 2023. Right? It was last updated the same date. Right? So this is the story. Ontario Provincial Police, OPP for short, right? That spells ops. If you guys understand, those are the real ops, right? Yeah, y'all black men running around, Hispanic men, Native American men running around killing each other. Your brother is not your op, right? It says right here the OPP, that spells op, have seized 8 million worth of illegal drugs and firearms and charged 23 people, including 3 that were allegedly facilitating and trafficking of contraband while imprisoned. Right. So listen, even in the jails, these drugs are going to get sold. Right. You think that you could stop it? It's not really going to stop, because as we get into the next article, you're going to find out why it doesn't stop. And it's leaning towards the people in charge don't want it to stop, because jails fund economies, right? Again, you have the whole town of North Barrie that eats off of the North Central Correction Center, right? Let's get back into the story. Salakia, one moment. What is going on? Hold on.
Hey, Slack, you bear with us 1 second. We just have some technical difficulties. All right, but if you're tuned in with us, all right, Officer Zabadia, he's getting right into it. He got a couple stories he's going to go into. Okay. Again, it's Saturday Night Scripture Breakdown class. We got the sign-in links in the chat. Make sure you like, share, subscribe to the channel. All right, you make sure you stay tuned with us on Saturdays. Okay. And you can always see what we're doing here in Toronto. All right, we got all the different social media platforms: Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. You want to see what's going on in Toronto, make sure you follow those platforms.
Hey, Shalom, Shariwan. Thought for taking over for a quick second.
Hey,
can you hear me?
Concert.
Okay, no sweat. Shariwan, okay, you got it. You dropped the link. My computer froze up for a second. So if anytime I freeze up, Officer IDR or Officer Shariwan is going to take over, right? But Shariwan, basically, we're talking about a story that happened not too long ago in the city, right? There was a raid, right? And there was a couple local Toronto artists who were caught up in these raids, right? And everyone always wonders why these raids happen and why drug dealing hasn't stopped and why crime hasn't stopped. It's leaning towards the government or the people in charge don't want crime to stop. Like, they don't want drug dealing to stop. It's big business, right? It's big business as in the streets gets the money, right? Or whoever is bringing the drugs into these streets, into our communities. That's big business, right? It's also big business is in the police can go to your house and raid your drug money and basically say how much whatever they want. They could find 10 police people who get caught up in these raids and those situations. Once they get their money stolen, they're not going to say, well, I had this much money and the police only reported this amount of money. I had 100,000, the police only reported 80. They're not going to say that, because saying that and speaking that in open court is basically essentially proving that you're guilty.
God.
Right? Because they're going to ask you, how'd you get that 100,000? Right? Also, it's also big business because all the law enforcement eats off of it, right? Law enforcement takes the money. You have the clerks that work in the courts. You have the judges, the lawyers, the bailiffs. There's a whole economy of money made off criminality, right? So we're getting into one of these stories, Shariwan. And this story, Shariwan, Officer Adiyar, y'all could jump in at any time. If y'all got any questions for anybody watching, y'all could jump in and ask your question at any time, right? We'll try to get to the answer. If we don't have the answer, we'll tell you to just tune in next week or during one of our classes and ask the question again. About by then, most likely, the men in this class will have the answer for you, right? So we're reading a story. This project, Salakia, dubbed Project Mafat. The investigation began in April when the OPP say they learned of 3 distinct crime groups that were trafficking firearms in the Greater Toronto area and Central and Northeast Ontario. Right, so whoever is trafficking these firearms and these drugs, listen, they got a very large map to go with, right? Ontario as a province is one of the larger provinces, right? Just on the vast majority of space that in places you can go in Ontario. OPP were assisted by officers from York Region, Peel Region, and Barrie Police Services and Ottawa Police Services. As a result of the investigation, OPP executed 14 search warrants in last month at locations in Toronto, Vaughan, Barrie, Brampton, Mississauga, Oakville, North Bay, Englehart, and Pickering. Ooh, listen, they went everywhere. They went all over the map, Shariwan. Listen, hey, this is to show you, y'all think y'all going OT. You think you're going on these OT routes, right? You're like, we on the bus on the northern, and we're going OT. We got the packs, and we're gonna chill out and make all this money. The police understand what's going on. They know where you're at. I was telling you last week that about a month and some change ago, OPP were stopping every northern bus, right? The northern buses, those big white and blue buses that were going into Thunder Bay, right? And as the bus came on, they hit it with the canines. And they were having a field day of brothers thinking they could go and sell dope to the Gadites, right? The police, they understand that there's a time to let you sell your dope, and then there's a time to come and get you, right? Once you make the money, they're gonna come and get you, or they're gonna come and get you before you make the money, so they can use the dope for their investigations and their stings, or they can put that dope back into the streets, right? So, okay, and this is another thing too. Listen, there was a time when Canada was afraid of an invisible threat, right? An invisible threat meaning everybody, and no one had the answer except for the I.S.U.P.K. The I.S.U.P.K. has always had the answer. We told you it was a plague from God, just like monkeypox is a plague from the Most High. But listen, people were getting sick, right? And on top of that, Shalakia, listen, I for a second, I'm trying to exactly remember what I was going into. So people were getting sick. There was a time when no one was used to the men of the UPK. They were telling you what was happening, right? They were telling you what was happening with COVID, with the plagues that are happening, and no one's been listening. But the ISUPK has always had the answers, and they break it down as to why these things happen. So we're gonna get more into our story some more, right? And I'm gonna drop the link for you, Salakia, give me one moment. I'm gonna drop the link for you so y'all can have it in the chat. Y'all can see it in the chat. Y'all can click on this story whenever you want. Y'all can go read it and get more details. Leave this one, this first one. All right, I'm gonna put this link in the chat for you. Right, if you're watching, like, subscribe, share these tapes. It's definitely gonna help. Good night. What the hell? What's that? Whoa. Yo, 1 second. What is up with this damn thing? All right, it went out. Right. So let's get more into this. Police say the items were seized upon execution of the search warrants included, but is not limited to 29 firearms, right? 12 kilograms of fentanyl, 25.25 kilograms of cocaine, 5 kilograms of crystal meth, over 260,000 methamphetamine tablets, Canadian and U.S. currency, and 10 vehicles. The total street value of the drugs and firearms seized is over $8 million. Police say an additional offense related to property seized amounts of $790,000. Good night. I'm gonna keep reading some more before we get into any precepts. Again, if y'all want to stop me at any time, y'all can. Okay, so we're going more into the story. Project Mafat has revealed criminal networks that are a threat to our public safety, said OPP Chief Superintendent Paul Mackey during a news conference Wednesday morning at the York Region Police Headquarters in Aurora. The number of potential street-level doses of fentanyl and methamphetamine seized by our investigators is nothing short of shocking, right? So again, like I was saying before, there was a time when the whole world was on a threat of an invisible enemy that was plaguing the earth. No one knew what was going on. But the Canadian government decided to shut their border. Nothing was getting in and out of Canada. Now, if the Canadian border can do that for COVID, why can't they do that for drugs? This is a question. Not one of the pastors or not anybody outside of the I.S.U.P.K has the answer as for why that's happening, right? But we have the answer. We're going to break it down tonight as to why this is happening. And you're going to start to see the answer within our second story. Right, so I'm going to read a little more of this and then we're going to drop it. Nothing short of shocking. Also, shocking is the number of firearms seized off our streets. Police say search warrants were also executed at both Maplehurst Correctional Complex. Shaywan, do you understand what? Okay, so some of y'all might not understand this, and I know my brother Shaywan doesn't understand what I just read, right? So I'm going to break it down to him, right? Maplehurst Complex is after the main Toronto jails, the Dirty Don, right, at Broadview and Dundas, and the West Detention Center, which is now a jail that they house people facing immigration, right? After those jails closed, they started sending everybody from Maplehurst to everybody from the Don and the West Detention Center to Maplehurst. This is a jail outside the city of Toronto in Milton, Ontario, in the Halton region, right? What I just read, I got to read it one more time so y'all can understand. Police say search warrants were also executed at both the Maplehurst Correctional Complex. That is a jail outside of Toronto. and the Collins Bay Federal Institution. This is a federal institution, right? It's the feds. It's the penitentiary out in Kingston, Ontario, and police are doing search. There's a search warrant that they're executing for a project that leads them into both jails, right? And that's to show you how deep the network of selling drugs goes in Ontario, right? In Ontario, they have contraband in them, right? There's only one way a cell phone or a switchblade that you can buy at a. You can't buy a switchblade or a cell phone on Canteenless, right? But you can buy these things at a local Walmart. You can buy them at a Canadian Tire. There's only one way a switchblade and a cell phone is getting into jail, right? And it's not by brothers violating themselves. Because listen, this is another thing that the streets aren't going to tell you. When you go to jail and you have drug contraband, right, and you want to keep it and you want to get big high in your jail cell, you violate yourself by putting those drugs in you, right? And I'll tell you this much. A brother is not swallowing the drugs and vomiting them back. That's not what he's doing to get his drugs in jail, right? And a cell phone is not fitting where, well, Salaki, I don't know, man. Some of you brothers might be weirded out, man, in them jails, but I don't know. It's a hard time for a brother to get a cell phone in the suitcase, Salaki, if you get my drift, right? But a lot of people are putting drugs in the suitcase, right? That's brothers are violating themselves. A simple way of saying these brothers are violating themselves to get drugs and their contraband hidden while in jail. But a cell phone and a switchblade, the COs are bringing them in. So if you're wondering why someone can make drug deals in the jail without a cell phone, without those conversations being picked up on the jail phones, it's because some CO brought these brothers cell phones, right? You see it all the time in Toronto on the news. The reason for conducting searches within those correctional facilities was to gather further evidence against 3 accused who were facilitating and trafficking of illegal firearms while behind bars. Police, Salakia, said OPP Detective Inspector Lee Fulford at the news conference. Let's see if there's anything else in this. Of the 23 in the investigation, one individual was a federal parolee who was violating the conditions of his parole, according to police. The accused ranged from 19 to 62 years old. Good. Now you would think. This is how you know that whole I'm gonna get some money, right? There's a myth that happens that brothers believe in the streets. I'm gonna get this bag. I'm gonna go and sell this dope. I'm gonna get this bag, and eventually I'm gonna retire. I'm gonna have 500,000, a nice property, a little nest egg, and I'm gonna take this money and invest it in some business. That's cap. That's not facts. The things you think are facts are not facts, right? It's big cap. Let's read this again. The accused range from 19 to 62 years old. Many are residents of the GTA. Right? This is to let you know there is no. Listen, y'all better figure out what's going on. This is 62. Whoever is 62 and going into jail right now talking about I'm going to do 62, a 10-year. If you do 10 on top of 62, that's 72. Listen, them jail places are horrible. The doctors suck. The food suck. There's not enough sunlight, not enough rec. The beds suck. By the time, if you're 62 in jail, by the time you hit 66, you have aged 15 years. Just because the horrible conditions in jail, right? You ever look into a room that has a lot of sunlight and you see all the dust floating in the air? That's what the inside of these ranges look like on a consistent basis, right? On a consistent basis, the ranges inside of these drugs, inside of these jails, right? A range is basically a pod or a tear, or however you want to call it. They are dusty. They are filthy. Your health conditions deteriorate. That whoever that person is, 62, going into jail for firearms and drugs is, oh man, that person is more than likely going to die in jail or come out of jail and only get a little bit of time, right, left on the earth before that person gives up the ghost. All right, hold up. I do got one precept that I want to read, right? Slovakia. Let me get my precepts in order. Hold up. Not that. Let me get my precepts in order. Hold up. Where'd that thing go? You bear with me a moment. Bear with me a moment. Got him. All right, so I'm going to read to you Exodus 22 and 18. Exodus 22 and 18. Or Officer Shariwan, if you could, can you read Exodus 22 and 18 for me?
Hey, Shalom, everybody.
Shalaki, I heard 2 minutes. Baraki Allah Shalom, Yahweh.
Yeah, but Shabbat, give me 1 minute. I'll be on camera just now. I don't want to.
God, no sweat. Hey, Shalom, sis. Yahweh Shema Thumb Hashem Yahushai. Shout out to Sister Barak Nah. Shariwan, you can read it when you got it.
Come.
Hey, can you be? I'm not sure if it's just me or if it's you, but you sound a little low. Can you just be a little louder, Baba Kasha?
Khan, so Salaki, is that better?
Yeah, that's Tawab. Most High in Christ.
Khan.
That's Camp Shariwan. That's that voice speed. I need Camp Shariwan.
Salaki.
Yeah.
This is the book of Exodus, chapter 22, verse 18. Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live.
Right? These are things we're not going to do. We don't want our brothers to be drug dealers. Listen, you're going to die. The Lord doesn't want you to live. You're selling dope to his people. You're going to die. This man who's 62 years old going down for firearms and drugs, right? It's more than likely he's going to die. It's more than likely he's going to tell on someone. If he tells, he's going to die. You're going to be unalive. So like, I'm going to be bold. I don't have time to sugarcoat it. You're selling dope to your people. You destroyed your neighborhood. You wonder why you grew up in a war zone because someone older than you was selling dope in the neighborhood before you. And now you're contributing to the same thing. And you're going to die. You're going to go sell a 9-pack to someone, which is 9 ounces of whatever it is. And someone's going to rob you and shoot you in your face. It happens every day, right? You think this brother that you've been dealing with for so long, or this heathen, there's this white man that you've been dealing with for so long, he's been giving you all these packs, and there's a thing in the streets, right? It's called build you up, right? It's where a man will get you to sell dope for him. He'll build you up until you start coming back to him for almost a half brick of whatever. It could be a half brick of fentanyl, half brick of cocaine, whatever it is, right? He started you from a little half ounce, and now you're copping 18 ounces of whatever it is. And you think, yeah, I got like 50 grand I'm about to go give to him, or 40 grand I'm about to go give to him for this half whatever, right? And he's going to rob you. Because he built you up to that. That's what he built you up to. He was looking to rob you from the get-go. But he couldn't rob you because he didn't have anything. And now you have 40 grand. And he doesn't care if you come back for the drugs. He's going to rob you and shoot you in your face. You're going to go to jail. You're going to tell on all your friends. You're going to come back home after your sentence, and you're going to die. Show you one? Read it one more time.
Verse 18. Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live.
Right. The Most High is not suffering you to live, right? A witch is you're a trapper. You thought you were over the pot working your wrist or duct taping some fentanyl together. You thought you were doing that, right? And you thought you were gonna boil it and stand over the pot and watch it boil and then put some ice in it or put it in the freezer, and you thought you were gonna go outside and make some money because you were a dope boy. No, the Most High called you a witch. You're a sorcerer, right? You're putting a curse, or like these drugs are like magic on our people. It's like a spell, right? You ever seen a person? Listen, they say a lot of the women that you see downtown Toronto or downtown Montreal, they used to be prom queens. They used to be the baddest one in the neighborhood, and then they started to hit that rock, right? They smoked some dope with some man, somebody that wanted to abuse them and take advantage, and they put a little bit of crack cocaine, or they dipped that cigarette in PCP. They called it get it, took advantage, and now you sleep on the streets begging for money, and you look like something out of Thriller. You know Michael Jackson's Thriller video? That's how you look now, right? You see a lot of broken brothers. I seen this the other day, right? And this was right behind the camp spot. I go to the camp spot regularly just to see what's going on, just to see who's out there, right? And I seen a brother was getting harassed by the police. So I'm watching it, right? I started filming a little just to see what's going to happen. And I noticed this brother doesn't look too right. He looks like he's on that dope. He looks like he was doing the dope fiend lean earlier, right? But he looks like he's still like he's fresh into this dope fiend lean. He doesn't look like a full-blown dope fiend yet, right? So after the police left, I asked him what was happening. He said to me straight up, brother, I'm a dope fiend. I was leading and the police went in my pockets and searched me. And I said, good night, you're stronger than that, right? And I gave this brother the information for the Canadian school. I don't think he's going to call. He hasn't called yet, right? But you see a bunch of men who look like they could be strong men, right? Or who were strong men that are now weak to a glass rod, right? A lot of brothers are putting that glass rod in their mouth, right? And it's killing them, right? The Most High doesn't want you to live if you're a dope fiend. Salaki, if you're a dope dealer. He wants you because you're selling dope to his children. He wants you to die. And more than likely, you sell dope out here, you're gonna die. It happens all the time, right? How do you think these kids are able to afford these $5,000 ghost guns, right? With all the fixings, they get the switches, they get the beams, they get the 50-round drums and the 30-round ladder. You always hear them talking about, I got the ladder, I got the 30, right? How do you think they afford that? You do the math on it. They do that twice. It's about 12 grand, right? Salaki, is someone speaking? I can't hear you. Y'all got to speak up if you're speaking.
La, sir.
La, I don't want.
Come on. Right? No, they do that twice. They grand on firearms. Y'all thought what you thought he worked at Harvey's? He was flipping Whoppers. He was selling those Big Macs to get that gun. La, that's not it, right? He was selling dope, and majority of the time they die, right? All right, I want to get more into some of this story. This is the last part of the story. Illicit drugs and illegal firearms traffickers jeopardize the safety of our communities. The accused directly profit from. Oh, these are okay. That's not really. These guys are just saying the things they always say at the ending, right? The same things that everybody knows. Illegal firearms and drugs in your community is damaging to our community. It destroys us. It's going to kill us. Right? I got the second story. Can somebody pull up the second story, the second Google link, the CBC one in the private chat, and they can read it when they have it? Right? Because this second story, as I Salakia,
there's no message in the private chat.
Oh, God, there's no message in the private chat.
Janos. Okay, 1 second. I got you. Damn. Okay, hold up. We rocking, we rolling.
Let me just fix my camera angle for this. Just trying to fix my camera for a second. Give me a moment, if you may. Officer Shaiwan, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Oh, Salaki, the officer was about to drop for a second. But we're about to get into the next article. Right. Again, if you're tuning in, make sure you hit those sign-in links. Right. Like, share, subscribe to the channel. Right. Officer's body should be back with us in just a second. Right. But to some of the things he's saying, and this is why the I.S.U.P.K is so important. Because, I don't know about you, Barack Yalla, but I have seen drugs absolutely ruin our community.
Oh, God.
Understand? So many lives that have been lost. You understand? Whether it be gun violence, dealing with police, you know what I mean? Deals gone bad, whatever it may be, or just somebody just trying to get over on another brother or sister. It's drugs have absolutely destroyed us. And one of the things Officer Zabadi was bringing out is that it's not even our people bringing it into the prison systems. You understand? It's somebody who actually is in power inside the prison systems, allowing these drugs to be brought in, and allowing these drugs to be brought in and sold amongst the jails, right? Which is no different than what they're doing in the country. All these drugs that are being brought in by the government. You understand? It's not some secret that, you know what I mean? The Hells Angels are out there dealing all different types of things. You think the government doesn't know what's going on? You think the government doesn't know where?
Oh, Shaywan, they definitely know, Shaywan. Tawada for taking over in my absence for a quick second. Okay, I'm gonna put this link in the chat. Y'all should see it. It should pop up.
Oh, okay, it popped up, by the way.
All right, someone read that when they get a chance. And Shaywan, it's not a conspiracy, man. The government knows where these drugs are coming from. Listen, they got satellites that look into the Chinese Ocean while the satellite is orbiting over the northern part of Canada. Make it make sense. The satellite is in Canada, but it's looking into the Chinese Ocean, right? And it's bouncing another signal from another satellite and another satellite, and they could damn near look into these trucks. The police, this is something the OPP hasn't told y'all, right? The OPP has a machine that x-rays vehicles. Y'all drug dealers and illegal firearms, man, good luck. Listen, it's about to get real. The OPP has a vehicle that drives up and down the 400 series that goes up north. You take the 400 up north into the towns. That's where you're selling your dope. You're going to Timmins and Espanola and all these other towns and Thunder Bays and the Muskokas and all these other towns that you're going up the 400, right, and driving on these 2-lane highways. Well, the OPP's on these 2-lane highways too, and they're x-raying your car as you go by. And some of y'all think it's just damn, I was driving a little fast, or I'm being profiled. Listen, you're not exactly being profiled, but they're scanning your car and not telling you.
Right.
Right. And you're wondering why they're just pulling your car over. And you're like, how did they know I have a stash box in this car on a traffic stop? Listen, the stash box that they get in these cars are really for the traffic stops. They do not beat the. Here's another thing. I'm about to give you all the game right now. Y'all little street niggas better listen up real close, right? That $10,000 stash box you're paying for, they know about it.
Right.
They all these raids that have happened over the last 10 years in the city, they know about these stash boxes. They're doing whatever they have to do to open them. They have the manual for your car. They're taking it to their garages and they're taking your car apart, nut by nut, bolt by bolt, piece by piece. Salakia, straight up and down. And they're finding these stash boxes. That's not helping you when they get the warrant for your car. Right? The streets are dead. It's a myth. Your friends are telling on you. You think your friends are telling on you because they are. Straight up and down. Right? And just like Officer Sharyuan was reiterating of what I said, the police know what's happening. They're just letting you, they're biding their time. They got to let you build up, man. You think the streets don't know who's doing the shootings? They know who's doing the shootings. They just, listen, they know that the person you shot is not coming to court to tell on you. Even though they have the gun. They know that person is not coming to tell on you. 1 second, Barack. So they let you keep shooting until you kill someone. And now they just use that evidence. Hold up. Barack, what were you saying?
So, like, if I may, I was just going to say that the police is going to let you do whatever the hell you're doing.
You want to take over after Barack?
I was going to say the police is going to let you do whatever the hell you're doing because they're basically stacking up charges against you. So the more charges they have against you, the more time they could give you to serve once they arrest you. You understand? They're not going to wait till you steal like a candy or whatever the case is, or you just rob a trap house or whatever. They're going to stack up the charges against you and say, you know what? We could give him 5 years, we could give him 10 years, we could give him 15 years. Okay, let's get him now because now we could give him as much time as we want to give him or her, whatever the case is.
Yeah.
Let you do whatever you want to do.
That's exactly what's happening. They're going to stack it. God, that's exactly what's happening. They're going to stack up the charges. Listen, those attempt murders aren't really going to get you under the jail for a long time, especially if the person you shot, right? The person you shot, he's not telling because he believes that there's a code in the street that says no telling. You know what the code of the streets is? There is no code of the streets. The streets is a myth. Y'all keep thinking there's a code to the streets, right? The person you're being loyal to, he's been setting you up from a long time to get you.
To lock you out of one. It's like, if I may, it's like a lot of Caribbean people talk about they're the real pirates of the Caribbean, talking about the pirate code. The number one rule of the pirate code is that there is no rule in the pirate code. You understand? Just like the streets, there is no rules in the streets. You understand? That's the number one rule.
Right.
There is no rule. So like the other one.
Bro, you know how there's a saying that people say in the world, right? It's a dog eat dog world. That should let you know. That's exactly the motto of the street. It's a dog eat dog world. It's like playing dominoes with 4 people and you're not playing teams. The streets is cutthroat, right? That's a Benjamite joke. If you know about dominoes with some Benjamites, when 4 people are playing on a domino table and you're not playing teams, it's called cutthroat, right? It's basically every man for themselves, and that's the rules of these streets. Right. I need someone to Baba Kasha, I need someone to read that latest article that we're gonna go into.
I got the article, I don't want.
Okay, and this is gonna let you know exactly what's happening in the streets, right? Because I remember this raid, and when I seen this raid a while back, I was like, good night. That is crazy, right? Well, we're going to announce We're going to read this right now. So, Barack, you can read it whenever you get a chance.
Charges stayed in largest ever international drug bust in Toronto police history.
All right.
Project
So,
Brisa.
I need to, 1 second. Hold up, Barack, hold up. We need to get the definition of stayed, right? What does it mean by stayed charges? I'm about to get it for you right now. Right? Charges are stayed when a judge or crown decides that it would be bad for the justice system for the case to continue. I'm going to read this one more time for you, right? Charges are stayed when a judge or crown decides that it would be bad for the justice system for the case to continue. This means the issue of Khan, can you hear me?
Khan, if I may, I just have a quick question. Can you hear me, Adawan?
Khan. Yeah, I can hear you, but you're kind of breaking up. And you're kind of frozen on the screen. I can hear you now. I can see.
Salakia, when I switch screen to read the article, I'm gonna freeze on StreamYard. That's why. But
basically, okay, if that's happening, I could just read it. It's no sweat.
Come. But just a quick question on one, real quick. So charges being stayed, is it really saying that they're gonna jump the charge because they don't want a whole scandal?
Basically, that's basically what we're reading. I'm gonna read it one more time. Charges are stayed when a judge or crown, basically the crown is the other lawyer, like the prosecutor, right? In America, they call it a district attorney, right? Or the ADA. When a judge or crown decides that it would be bad for the justice system for the case to continue, right? This really means they can't determine whether the person's innocent or guilty, but the judge basically decided that it was bad for the case to continue, right? The crown basically decided, listen, this is going to look bad on us if the case continues. So now that we have the definition of what state is, we're going to show you the case where the charges were stayed and the government decided, right? Meaning the legal government, the judge or the crown, right? Decided it would be better and look better on us if we just drop this case, right? Give me, Barack, take over for 1 quick second. Give me 1 second, Barack.
Okay. So we're gonna keep reading the article. Bear with me. I may be focusing on the StreamYard and the YouTube for a second because I'm reading the article at the same time. So it reads, Project Brisa led to 182 charges, 20 arrests, and drugs seized with estimated value of roughly $61 million. And just like Officer Zabaja read earlier, you understand that when the precept that we shall not suffer a witch to live. You understand? This is talking about all y'all drug dealers. Everyone that was guilty in that drug bust. Listen, y'all are not supposed to be kept alive because of that. Not in the sense that, you know, y'all deserve to be unalive by the oppressor. That's not what we're talking about. But in the kingdom, if you have any one of y'all pushing, let me just, for lack of better words, pushing peas. You understand? Y'all gonna get unalived by the judges of Israel. You understand? We shall not suffer a witch to live. When y'all stirring it up, you understand? Y'all whipping it up on the pot in the trap house. Y'all just witches. Like, what is a witch? You see a witch putting like all types of ingredients in the pot, stirring it up and making a potion. This is crack cocaine. You understand? This is all the pills. This is the new weed y'all growing with like 60% THC or whatever percentage of THC you got. It don't matter. All the drugs you're pushing, you're the witch that the Bible is talking about. You understand? So let's keep bringing on the article, right?
Wait, hold up, Barack. Barack, hold up for a second. Okay. If you can hear me, Barack.
Come on.
Yeah, I'm trying to get what you're saying is definitely right? It's definitely heavy. Montreal needs to hear it. Montreal needs to be sitting at the feet of Officer Adiar and Officer Barak Yala, right? So listen, I'll never forget this. We're in Montreal. We're about to open a high holy day. Kaklam. I'm like, yo, what was that? And okay, even for us, it didn't even register at that moment because we're just in such a brotherhood mode that we're not understanding that the lack of brotherhood is going on right outside our doorsteps, right at the moment, and someone's getting shot. Listen, Montreal needs to hear this, right? They're getting the guns from the drugs, right? But Barak, I wanted to pull up this article so everyone can see it, so they can see a picture of what is going on. Right, and Barak, I'll keep reading the article so you don't have to freeze up every second, right? If that's easier, I might be okay. God, I'm just waiting for my screen to get back, but y'all can hear me. If y'all can't hear me, just let me know.
You're too wild, by one.
Hold up, give me a moment. We're gonna. God, so let's get into this, right? I'm gonna show you a picture in a second of what was taken and what was seized during this raid, right? Project Brissa led to 182 charges, 20 arrests, and drugs seized with an estimated value of roughly 61 million. And that's a lot of dope. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of pain. If you think about it, all that money buy a lot of guns, buy a lot of so okay, I don't know where your phone is.
A lot of death.
Yeah, it's a lot of death, Brock. Look at this right here. Bro, look at this right here. Y'all can see this? That's a lot of dope. Hold up 1 second.
That's a lot of crack babies out of one.
Throughout for bearing with me. I having a couple of technical issues. Again, throughout for bearing with me. If you're watching this, like it, subscribe to it, share it. Make sure all the kids in your neighborhood, all the young Black, Hispanic, and Native American boys in your neighborhood are watching these classes. All the sisters, all the parents, right? Make sure everyone's watching this class. These classes that we do should be played continuously in every household, right? It's only going to make us better as a people. Right, so I'm posting this picture. This is the picture of the drugs, right? Now I'm posting this so you can understand why drug dealing won't stop in the city of Toronto, in Montreal, in our neighborhood. I'm gonna leave this here. I got this on my phone already. Hold up. What was once dubbed the largest ever international drug takedown in Toronto Police Service history fell through in court Monday after all charges linked to the case were stayed. Right? Barak, they're saying everybody who was charged, all the charges in this case, the Crown or the judge decided it is better and it looks better on us if we do not continue with these charges. All right? Now we're gonna find out what, because this doesn't make sense. Barak, do you see? Listen, all those drugs could take out an army.
So I got
take out a whole army. Or hold up, Brock, for a second. Or in the case of Black, Hispanics, and Native Americans, destroy your community for generations. Right? That there's one table. That table that looks so high in the front, those are bricks. Those are kilograms of whatever. Right? Brock, what do you got?
So I don't want. Let me know if I'm jumping the gun, but we're not here to speculate. We're not here to make any conspiracy theories, but it sounded like they had to drop the charges because some what would be considered as government officials would have been investigated on. That's what it sounded like.
I don't know about government officials per se, but I'm gonna say this. it seems like someone who was trapping for someone, or someone who's like somebody who's high up in these organizations that's selling dope. They need this person on the street so they can continue selling dope. And if they don't let everyone go, it's gonna look suspicious, right? So now if they let everyone go, there's none the wiser.
Right. It
Right.
sounds.
And
It sounds like
this is what it's looking like, because when we read this,
no, Salakia. It sounds like an episode of
right,
Snowfall,
you got it.
Toronto.
Yeah, that's what this seems like, Barack. And we're wondering, Barack, you're wondering how NDG got so bad, right? How over the years it got so bad, and how there's so many guns in Montreal, right?
Because the
and it's more than just the mob. This is not, because there was a crime family in Montreal. God, the oppressor is the devil the Bible speaks of, right? Now we got crime families from Montreal to Hamilton, right? But this is something deeper than that, right? So I'm gonna keep reading. The Public Prosecution Service of Canada confirmed to CBC Toronto Tuesday that all charges in the high-profile investigation dubbed Project Brissa have been stayed, right? Again, stayed means the Crown or the judge or the Crown, rank and order, thought it was better to drop this charge instead of going through. Look at all of that dope. They thought it was better to let the men responsible for all this dope, it was better to let them go. Come on, Barack.
We have General Kakam Gabar in the chat. Hey, Shalom, I.S.U.P.K, YAHANNA.
Hey, Shalom, sir. YAHANNA. Right. Salakia, they thought it was better to let these charges go. Right. I'm gonna keep reading. The news was first reported by the Toronto Star. No reasons for the stay were provided to the court in this case, and that's what makes it. Thawada, sir. We're just doing what the men above us tell us to do, right? What we've seen the men above us do for years. So Thawada, sir. Right now, again, I'm gonna read this part one more time. No reason for the stay were provided to the court in this case. A spokesperson for the Federal Prosecution Service said in an email Tuesday. Like, Barack, they're not providing a reason why the people who were bringing in all of these kilos of drugs, right? Fentanyl has been ravishing and decimating the Gadite reservations for like the last little while, right? I first heard of fentanyl about coming on the scene in Toronto maybe about 7 years ago, right? And you could just see the destruction is done within our communities, right? Every week in one of our neighborhoods, someone's ODing off this fentanyl because there's a group of now listen. So some of y'all brothers, y'all think you're scientists, right? Officer Aban is a scientist. You're not a scientist. Y'all think that you know what you're doing when you're mixing these chemicals and the toxicity of these chemicals when you're cooking them down to form a new chemical or a new drug, and you're giving it to people and they're guinea pigs. And listen, these people are dying. Some of y'all brothers got blood on your hands. Y'all need to hurry up and get out of that life, because you're going to die. Someone's going to shoot you. You're going to end up in jail for a long time. It's going to be horrible. It's going to be horrible. Some oppressor is going to run up on you and tell you it's a morning search, strip down to your nothing. Take off your socks, bend over, and cough. This is what happens in jail all the time, right? You're going to be traumatized, and you're going to be doing more drugs while you're trying to get through that 10 years, that 15 years, because you're traumatized, right? So they gave absolutely no reason for why the stay happened, right? A spokesperson, that's what a spokesperson for the Federal Prosecution Services said in an email. Investigators announced the results of the Project Brissa in June of 2021. It was a 6-month investigation. And you know what? They're saying this is the biggest. Not shortly around 2017, they had another raid that they said was the biggest, right? And that was near the Scarborough Town Center area, where they had another raid that they said was the biggest. Then they had another one in the airport that they said was the biggest. And this is all within the last 10 years, right? That's to let you know, every time they say this is the biggest raid, there's going to be another one. And if they're taking this much drugs off the street, you best believe that 10 times this amount that you see in this picture is going into the streets. Like what they're taking off and what they're showing as they're doing work, it's basically like it's a trick bag for you. It's a placebo. It makes you think that something is actually being done, right? They take a small percentage of the drugs off the street, but a very large percentage of the drugs is going into our neighborhoods and not being stopped, right? And brothers, because the oppressor is the devil. He put us in these horrible conditions, so we're forced to think that drug dealing is the way out, right? But as I read in the other article, the charges of the last project that went down in the city of Toronto within the last couple of weeks, the ages of the people charged was around 19 to 62. So that again goes to show you, you're not going to retire off selling drugs and have a big mansion and have some convenience store and be an old man with your convenience store, your laundromat, and all your little small businesses. You're going to jail, right? Our oppressor has set it up so you think that y'all remember, they said the only way you're making it out the hood, a jump shot, a microphone, or crack rock. Y'all don't remember that? And now our children, our brothers and sisters, think that this is the only way out, when it's not, right? It would be wiser for you to come into the I.S.U.P.K and learn how to not sell drugs, how to teach your people how to get yourself off drugs, right? I got some more that I want to read as we go into this article. It was a 6-month investigation focused on an international drug smuggling ring, which saw more than 1,000 kilograms of drugs, including cocaine, crystal meth, and pot, being transported between Mexico, California, and Canada using modified tractor trailers with hidden compartments. Good night. Well, listen, again, they're finding the stash boxes on these trailer trucks, on these tractor trailers, right? Those are the big rig 18-wheelers. They're finding the hidden compartments. They're gonna find the hidden compartment in your little Honda Civic. You got a little Acura TL. You think you got a little stash box in the door or something, right? Brock, you said something, I can't hear you, right? You think you got a little stash box in the door in the digital dash, and you're finding God. In total, 182 charges were laid, with 20 people arrested in connection with the investigation. Police said at the time, police estimated the street value of the seized drugs to be more than 160 million. Right? That's a lot of dope, a lot of money that the police they took off the streets. They took $61 million worth of drugs off the street and money, and now no one's going to eat those charges. Like the charges were stayed. They said it was better that the charges be stayed than the case continue, right? Let's read some more into this. Barack, can you get me as we continue? Barack, can you get me Job 9:24 when you get a chance? Right. The Crown indicated charges were being stayed as a result of a combination of witness issues, disclosure issues, and delays in the process of the proceedings. Right. And this is something that is in Canada, right? In Canada, they have something called a Jordan date. They call it a Jordan date because I believe Jordan was one of the names of the person involved in this case law, right? So they use this as case law. If a case goes on for a certain amount of time, the case just gets dropped, right? They call it a Jordan date. Sometimes you have brothers looking for this because they understand that if they go to trial, they might lose, but they also understand the evidence is not really there, right? So they're waiting for the prosecution just to not go along with it, right? And again, this is gonna, Salakia, after Barak reads this next precept, right? It'll make a little more sense as to what's going on. How you can have over 1,000 kilos of drugs in the streets, people get charged, and then the charges are just dismissed, right? Barak, can you read the precept when you get a chance?
Kawakan, this is Job chapter 9, verse 24. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked.
Right. The earth is given into the hands of the wicked, right? The people who are in power over the children of Israel, who sit on top of us, who grind us to dust in their grinders, right? They are extremely wicked. They understand that some drugs to us is a horrible thing. They only, I might be breaking up. I should be back right now. Right. When it's time for black people to be on drugs, it was say no to drugs and 20-year sentences. Hunter Biden has kilos. He's a trap lord, right? Hunter Biden, he got dope on top of dope. And his pops, who said you should do a large amount of time for a silver quarter size amount of crack rock, he's not saying a peep about his son with ounces, right? His son might as well be Scarface, and he's just not saying anything. He's giving his son a get out of jail free card. While blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, we got to sit under the jails, right? We got to have our homes destroyed. We got to have our children taken away. Hunter Biden gets to do whatever he wants, right? The people who sit on top of us and think they're doing a good job, they're doing a horrible job. They know exactly what they're doing, right? The earth is given into the hands of the wicked. The biggest drug dealer in the earth is the Caucasian man, and he's a wicked bastard, right? Salakia, hold up. Bro, you could keep reading.
Avakan, he covereth the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he?
Keep reading.
Avakan, if not, where?
If our oppressor isn't the wicked for flooding our community. Read.
If not, where and who is he?
Brock, you there? You hear me?
Do you hear
Brock's
me?
kind of breaking up. La, you were breaking up for a second. Read that precept one more time, straight through. All right, so Barak is kind of breaking up. He'll be back shortly. Right? Barak will be back shortly. Listen, the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. Our oppressor is definitely wicked. Look at all these drugs that are making its way into our communities. And the oppressor is just acting like, listen, he doesn't understand where these drugs are coming from. And then on top of it, charges are getting stayed. Brothers are getting charged for selling dope, right? Small amounts of dope, and getting large amounts of time. There's a bunch of people who had over 1,000 kilos of dope, 1,000 kilos of harmful drugs that kill blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans and destroy our families and destroy our communities. Our communities look like war zones. You go to Eglinton West, and this is something I don't understand, right? I've never understand this. If y'all been in the city of Toronto, right? Take a trip to Eglinton and Oakwood and just think to yourself, how does all this drugs get sold over here right next to a police station? Right? This is a question I've always wondered. I've wondered this for years. Right? How does all this crack get sold next to a police station? Let's get back to the story, right? Okay, so the Crown indicated the charges were being stayed as a result of a combination of witness issues, disclosure issues, and delays in the progress of the proceedings, right? So again, listen, sometimes these Crown prosecutors, right, they will take a long time to get a brother his disclosure, right? It makes it very hard for Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans to fight the case. And if you're legal aiding, meaning you have the Canadian government paying for your lawyer instead of finding a lawyer and giving them straight cash, you are getting a person who is overworked and in most cases doesn't care whether you're innocent or guilty. They're going to try and get you to take your plea deal, right? If you're not getting your disclosure in time, they're not really going to fight for it or be on the Crown to make sure you get your things on time, right? Now, in this case, it worked out for these criminals, right? But it also makes it look like there is some type of conspiracy going on, right? Lawyer Greg LaFontaine, who represents a client arrested in the project, in a statement to CBC Toronto. CBC Toronto has not been able to independently confirm why the charges were stayed. And listen, you're never going to really find out why the charges are stayed, right? They're giving you a bunch of, okay, I'm going to say it like this. Everything that the Crown indicated as to why the charges are being stayed, it's just a bunch of things like that. It's like saying if you jump from a third floor, you might break your leg, right? That's what the Crown's saying. They're saying disclosure issues, delays in the process of the proceedings, right? Also, COVID-19 played a role in the backing up of court cases, right? But that's neither here nor there. But again, you're not going to find out why this happened. Toronto police had not responded to a request for comments as of late Tuesday afternoon, right? Now listen, if you're selling dope in your neighborhood, it's because the oppressor wants you to sell dope. Here's another thing. This is another thing that most people, if you've been through the criminal system, you understand. The evidence doesn't get terminated until after the case. In most cases, when it comes to drugs, right? They'll leave it there for a long time because what happens is you might sit down for a year and a half waiting for your trial. They'll do a test. That test might have to be done again. If there's no drugs in the evidence locker, the test can't be done again, right? A lot of people get the drugs tested a couple times during their cases when they're fighting them because sometimes it's not really drugs. Sometimes the drugs aren't there. A lot of brothers have gone through this. These are things that happen. Like a brother might be fighting his case and then he finds out during his case, listen, a good thing I took it to trial because the drugs weren't even there. Where are these drugs? All these drugs that are on the table from the case that was stayed. No one got to bring these drugs to court to test if it was real. So where are these drugs? More than likely, these drugs ended up back in the street. And now that is speculation, right? That is speculation, but it's a pretty solid speculation if the charges were stayed. There's no charges. The earth was given into the hands of the wicked. He covers the faces of the judges thereof. If not, who is he, right? Who's the wicked in the earth? We're finding out. It's our oppressor. Our oppressor is the wicked man in the earth, right? The son of perdition, as one would say, right? He is a sinful man who wants to see. Listen, a lot of our movements were infiltrated, COINTELPRO, with drugs, right? Crack cocaine in the 80s from Freeway Ricky Ross, right? You know the show Snowfall, that show, that brother Franklin, right? They base it off of Freeway Ricky Ross, and this is how you know the oppressor is the devil. They gave Freeway Ricky Ross dope to sell. He sold it and destroyed his community, right? He decided he wanted to make his life story into a movie to show the evils of drug dealing. Because now you got Freeway Ricky Ross. He's running around talking about how drug dealing was bad and just telling. He kind of glorifies his life story when he tells you, right? But he's at the same time trying to paint the picture that drug dealing was terrible, right? Okay, he could do that, but he went to oppressors, right? After one set of oppressors gave him drugs to sell, he went to another set of oppressors to write about his life story, to turn it into a TV series, and these oppressors stole his story and they made Snowfall, right? Well, either way, the oppressor has set it up for us to sell drugs and destroy each other. The oppressor, he is the number one criminal in the earth. No one does more drugs than the oppressor, right? And where are these drugs? They were probably having a blocker. So I can. Hopefully I get back. They were definitely having a party in that evidence locker. Right, I'm gonna get rid of this for now. I'm going to also hold up. Give me a second. Okay, I'll do that after. Right. One of the lawyers representing a person who was charged as part of the case said his client is looking forward to moving on with his life. Right. Now, here's the next thing, right? This, again, when you look into these cases of these raids, right, usually when they do, this is something I've noticed about large drug raids in the city of Toronto, right? Whenever they're arresting a Hispanic gang or a black gang, right, they make sure to parade the young brothers on the TV screen as they're being raided from their houses, right? They make sure this always happens. As the case unfolds, you see them in the news, you see them till the whole city just remembers this brother as a drug dealer. He could be 10 years from now and he changed his life, but there's always going to be a digital image of that brother in a raid as a drug dealer. That rarely happens when it comes to these big thousand kilogram raids that happen in the city of Toronto. And now another 1,000 kilogram raid, right, in the city of Toronto, and the charges are just being dropped because of, and they're saying problems with witnesses as well. Like, what? See, that needs to be investigated. What was the issue with witnesses? Was it locating these witnesses? Are the witnesses being killed? Are they alive? Like, what is happening, right? What we're finding out is you're not going to get the whole story. And a lot of times, these kind of investigations are rushed, right? So if someone's not taking a plea deal, right, and tying someone else into the charges, sometimes they fall apart. These are for a prolonged legal battle, says lawyer Ravin Pillay. Hold up. I'm just going through, seeing if there's anything else in this article. In 2019, an 18-month, $8 million joint investigation involving 8 different police services, including York, Canada Revenue Agency, investigators in Italy, resulted. So if it's going back to Italy, that means it's Caucasians, right? Resulted in charges against 9 people in Canada who police allege were part of a criminal organization with ties to the mob in Italy. 2 years later, it fell apart and charges were stayed because police allegedly illegally intercepted phone calls as a part of multi-million-dollar probe into the suspected mob activities in the Greater Toronto area. Again, this is a stain on, it's one of many stains on the police, and one can only speculate that they want the drug trade to continue, right? A black eye on the administration of justice, right? They say Caucasians saying the word justice is is ironic because Caucasians have no sense of justice when it comes to anybody else, right? And for all the times we see they're saying this is a black eye, right? A black eye was when a young man, a young brother from the GTA, the Greater Toronto Area, lost his eye after he was viciously attacked and savagely beaten by two Caucasian men, two Caucasian brothers, one of them being a police officer, right? He was beaten. He lost the eye, and they're saying this is a black eye, right? Toronto criminal defense lawyer Trevin David, who is not involved in the case but represents people facing drug trafficking charges, say police may go big at the press conference in a large bust like Project Brissa, but should be realistic when it comes to convictions, which is this is something that I was just bringing out, right? A lot of times when it comes to these raids, right, the police do the raid for these dealers get back out because the investigation work was shabby. Meaning one could assume they don't want these charges to stick. The way the investigation work is so shabby. It's a police service. They know how to run a proper investigation, how to get a conviction in court. They're not rookies. They're not brand new to this. They know exactly what's going on. They know how to do these things. So why is the work so shabby? Why is it like that? Right? So what we're gonna Salaki, I need to go and get a preset. I'm gonna read to you Isaiah 47:9. Hold up. Isaiah 47:9, right? Because the Bible, our history book, our law book, our code of conduct, it talks to us about these things that are happening. 1 second. Let me get to it. 47:9. Right? This is Isaiah 47:9. But these two things shall come to thee in a moment, in one day. Right? So listen, these are things that happen. This is going to happen. You want to be a drug dealer, this is going to happen. You want to act like, ooh wee. Here's another thing. This is something we're going to talk about. A lot of your parents know you're selling dope, right? Listen, brothers and sisters, you it's time for you to switch your lives. Your parents, you acting like your mom don't know that you big trapping. You big trapping. You going away the whole month and coming back and buying a bunch of drip and buying paying bills. You're going out all night. You're a bunch of bottles, and your mom is just watching you spend this money, and she ain't saying nothing because you came back and put a little $1,000 in her purse. You put a little $1,000 in her hand and bought a little bit of $200 groceries, and she ain't saying nothing, but she know you big trapping. And then she gets the call. Excuse me, Mrs. Johnson. We need you to come down to the city morgue. And she feels the wind knocked out of her body because she got the call to come down to the city morgue. Mrs. Johnson, we need you to come down to the city morgue and identify. And now her worst nightmares. Her son is dead because he went to go do a drug deal that it went horribly wrong, right? He thought he was going to sell that brick of fentanyl, and those men wanted it, and he thought he was going to keep it, and they thought otherwise, right? But these two things shall come to thee in a moment, in one day. The loss of children. Your children are sitting in jail, or sitting in the casket, right? So many brothers are sitting in jail because they thought their only way out was to sell this dope. Listen, they were trying to make it out. You got brothers that just want to make it out. They just want to live a better life. They don't really want to go wait for that 9-to-5 money. I heard brothers say this all the time. I can't do that 9-to-5 money. Listen, that 9-to-5 money is sweet. I don't know what y'all talking about, right? Now, given it would be better if black people own the companies we work for and we were hiring our own, right? And we run business. But compared to, okay, this is what I gotta ask, right? Would you rather sit at your house and not worry about your door being kicked in, or do you want 20 grand a month? Right? Do you want 30 grand a month with the possibility of the door getting kicked in and serving 10 years, 7 years for all the dope and guns you have, right? For 30 grand. Listen, it's 30 grand a month. It's a large amount of money, right? You get $30 a month, $30,000 a month for about, you got like an eight month run, right? 30 grand times 8, right? Do the math. 30 grand times 8. Let's do the math on that real quick. 30,000 times 8 equals 240,000, right?
Right.
You got that in 8 months, right? Now, you could have made 40 to 50,000. Hold up, let's do the math. 40,000, right? Times 10. You could have made 40,000 for the last 10 years and got 400,000. Instead, you're sitting in jail for 10 years. You made 240,000 in 8 months, but you lost 9 years of your life. You lost 10 years of your life, and you can't get that time back, right? We're losing our children to these jail cells. We're losing our brothers and sisters to these jail cells, right? The Central North Correctional Center is taking brothers and taking 2 years of their life to go make socks and Trocor, right? To go make socks and Trocor and all those no-name brand Walmart white t-shirts and colorful solid t-shirts. They're going up north to go make those and sit down for 2 years, right? And the town of Barry, the town of the Slovakia, the region of Barry, I gotta find out what this Barry region is called. Give me a second. The region of Barry is being employed because you thought the best way to feed your family, and now you're sitting in jail and not feeding your family. You thought the best way to feed your family was dope. Put that dope on the table, and it'll be a solid way to feed your family, right? Barry region. It's called Simcoe, right? So you thought you were going to Simcoe County. That's Barry and the towns north of Barry all the way up to Sudbury, right? You thought you were going up there and you were going to make a bunch of money. Well, here's what happens. You go up there, you get shot, right? You go up to Barry, you get shot. You do make some money, but you go to jail. You sit in Penetanguishene, right, in the Central North Correctional Center, and you make Barry residents money. They get to wake up every day and go to jail too, right? Except when they go to jail, around 5 o'clock, they get to go back home.
Right.
While you are stuck in jail, right? And this happens from Montreal to Toronto on a regular basis, right? Barack, what were you saying?
No, I just agree with you, Adawan.
God, like Barack, question: do you know any brothers from your neighborhood who've gone to jail for a while? You don't got to say their names or anything like that. But have you met people who've gone to jail for a long time?
So, like, I have one of my brothers. He just got arrested in jail and transferred to max security.
Good night, right? And this is another thing they're not telling you. Listen, them city jails they can be dangerous, but in the federal penitentiary, there's brothers who have, like, I'm not sure if you can see this because of my green screen, right? But this is a machete, right? This is a machete. I have it for decorational purposes in my house when I'm doing these classes. But there's brothers in these federal penitentiaries that are walking around in the yard with those in their jumpers, right? It's not sweats. It's not jumpsuits like that. They got sweats and jeans, and in the federal penitentiary in Canada, you get to wear what we would call road clothes. You get to wear your clothes from outside, and there's brothers who are making weapons like that. Listen, one of the first things you buy when you go to a federal penitentiary in Canada on the canteen list, the first thing they make you buy is a body bag. Let that sink in. That's to let you know you're either going to die in here if you don't get parole. Someone's going to kill you, or one of the angels is going to take you in old age. Right? There's so many brothers who can't.
I think out of all the people I know in the world, of course, I'm the only one who got into the school. But besides that, out of all the people I know in the world, I think I'm the only one who actually never been in a prison cell. I mean, like a jail cell in prison. You understand? Whether it's the pen or not.
Most High in Christ. Most High in Christ. Listen, unfortunately, that was not me. Listen, I had to go back and forth to these jails. This is why I could give you the knowledge I have. This is why I could relate to brothers when I speak to them, right? Not saying you can't or anything like that, right? But I was back and forth in these jails, and it was a horrible experience, right? And Salakia, I'm just listen. If I had heard the truth another way, that would be Tawab, right? That would have been a good thing. If I heard the truth another way, I wouldn't have lived the lifestyle that I lived for so long, right? But unfortunately, I went to jail. I heard this truth, and as I came home, I understood my life needed a change, and I dove headfirst into this truth. I've been swimming in this pool of truth for a long time because brothers can swim, right? Aquaman jumped off a boat. Aquaman, he jumped off a boat to go protect his brother. Listen, I've been swimming in this truth for a long time because brothers can swim. So yeah. I just like to say that because I hate that myth of brothers don't know how to swim. When black people, I don't know, maybe some black people don't know how to swim, but I definitely know how to swim, right? And I had to learn this truth while I was in jail for drugs and firearms, right? Listen, it's nothing for me to talk about it now because I don't live that lifestyle, right? And I understand the dangers and the damage that lifestyle creates, right? Here's what's crazy. A lot of brothers live in places where they can get legal firearms to protect themselves, right? But we're sold this illegal firearm dream, like this dream, this thing of, listen, all your guns got to be illegal so you can go and kill black men. Well, who really wants to kill black men? Like, do black men, like, okay, here's one thing you might not understand. Black people don't really want to kill each other. We just want to have a good time, right? Like ops can party together, right? And I said it like that for a reason because there's a thing where a black man views a black man as his op. Well, ops can party together and not shoot up the party. I've seen it. I've seen it a bunch of times where they're in the same club and they know they're in the club. They're looking across each other and they're not having, like, bro, this is how you know, like, listen, we've been sold this dream and we want to be like our oppressors so much, right? The black man is not really the enemy of the black man. I've seen two groups that don't like each other that have fired shots at each other in the same club. And one would think you guys are in shooting distance of each other, and it's more than likely y'all got your firearms into these clubs because firearms just get in everywhere, right? And that's something else we need to talk about one day, how the firearms just get in everywhere, especially in these parties. But we also understand that, listen, things like court cases being stayed makes evidence not have to go to trial. And if the evidence ain't in the locker, where is it? Right? But there was a group of brothers who they obviously didn't like each other. They didn't shoot the parking lot of the club, right? And they didn't shoot up the club. What they had was a bottle war. And I don't mean like they were throwing bottles at each other, Barack. They had a bottle war. Who could buy the most bottles that night? And that's literally how they threw down in that club that night. And it was weird because it's like at any moment you expect these guys to be shooting at each other. But they didn't. They didn't even scrap it out after. Like you would assume there's a scrap in the washroom or in the parking lot or something on the dance floor. That didn't happen either. That goes to show you, a black man is not your op, and a Hispanic man is not your enemy, right? The person putting these drugs and ghost guns in our neighborhood is our enemy, right? The judges who are deciding it's okay, right? Now, okay, listen, I'm gonna say it like this, right? Some judge or some crown decided it was okay for a brother or just this case to be thrown out, right? They didn't want to look so bad. They would have to explain. They're saying disclosure and witnesses and stuff like that. Listen, you might find out later on that one of the witnesses got killed or something, right? These things happen too, right? But a judge decided it was better for this case not to go on. If there was any brothers involved in this case, now is a perfect time to understand you've been given another chance.
Right.
You've been given a fresh start at life. You could be doing 20 years in Kingston Penitentiary. You could be doing 20 years in Millhaven, Joyceville, right? Fenbrook. You could be in Beaver Creek doing 20 years. Those are all the federal penitentiaries I just named in the town of Kingston, right? There's a town in Eastern Ontario that's full of jails. It's just the whole economy is jail, right? You could be doing all that time over there, but you've been given a chance not to. Take that chance and come get with your brothers so we could teach more brothers to take full advantage of the chances the Most High gives them, right? Like you remember you were on that drug block and someone was shooting at you and you ran away and you felt like you were running faster than Usain Bolt. And you got away, you stopped, you checked your body for shots and you weren't shot. You might have had to throw that dope that you had in your hand, right? You might have been on a dope block getting ran down by police and you hopped that fence and stashed that work and couldn't find it. Listen, that was the Lord speaking to you, telling you, hurry up and come home. It's time for y'all to come home, right? Barack, I want to continue with this precept because I wasn't done.
Okay. You want me to get it, other one?
Yeah, start it again from the top. I was at Isaiah 47:9.
Come on, give me 1 second. Isaiah 47:9.
Yeah, no sweat. No sweat. So again, it looks like the judge wants these guys to not be charged for a reason. I don't know what the reason is. Right? No one knows what the reason is because they're not saying. They gave you a bunch of generic answers. Listen, the disclosure, the witnesses, the case was taking too long. It's like you just go down the list of excuses. Like, you know, when you're at the slave and last week you said you were sick. 2 weeks ago, your mom you had to take to the hospital. 3 weeks ago before that, the dog you had to take to the vet. The house flooded. Like, listen, the bus driver did it. If you're in the city of Toronto, you just say the bus driver is the reason, you're guaranteed not to get fired because everyone knows the TTC is trash when it comes to making sure you're not late for work. They say leave a half an hour early. You left an hour early and somehow you still were late for work. You're trying to figure it out, right? Barack, you can read it whenever you got it from the top.
This Isaiah chapter 47, verse 9. But these two things shall come to thee in a moment, in one day. The loss of children and widowhood.
Right? Hold up, Barack. Hold up. The loss of children. We spoke on that, right? Your sons and daughters are going into jail. You know how many sisters are being convinced. Listen, they getting the rod from some brother. Some young bull's giving them the rod, and he laid it down. And as he was doing that, he was whispering in her ear about taking a flight from Trinidad back to Canada with this dope. And now she's sitting in Vanier, right? That's another jail. Like earlier, we read how the next to Maplehurst is Vanier. That's the women's jail, and sisters be sitting in there because some brother put this dope on a plane. You know, like Samuel Jackson said, snakes on a plane. The sisters were convinced by a brother to put dope on a plane, and now they're sitting in jail. Right? Widowhood. Listen, a lot of you brothers, you lost a father. Your mother lost a husband, and now she's a widow because he wanted to trap. He wanted to go and make those buckets, make those dollars, as one would say. He's trying to get that bread. He's trying to get that bread right? Because he grew up listening to Young Jeezy. Right? Young Jeezy told him to sell dope his whole life, Snowman. And it sounded good. When that bass hit and you hear the Snowman and the DJ drama drops, good night. You're like, oh man, this sounds like trapping is the way to go. I'm going to have to do this right here. Right? I need that. I need that Jerbo jeans with the bands busting out. Right? Now they would say Visu jeans or and Mary's. Listen, I'm showing my age with these name brands, right? But they would say Mary's. Like they got the tight Marys on and the 20 bands double banded up, and it's in their pocket, and they feel good. And then the police box him in, high risk takedown on the highway, and he was flinching. Don't flinch when the police box you in. Don't move.
Right.
You better comply with what they're saying when the police box you in on that dark highway. Because listen, I know a brother. The police took him down, and this brother never made it out the car. The police said this brother shot himself. The family saying my brother would never shoot himself. He's too gangster for that. Listen, who knows what happened? No one's going to know. Listen, it's better for you not to be a drug dealer. It's better you not to be a stepper. You want to step? Listen, I need some steppers. Come step with me at Young and Dundas. We're going to step to Young and Dundas, set up a camp, set up the podium, set up the floor signs, wait for the men above us. Wait, listen, I'm going to be filming it, right? You want to step behind the camp and keep Shamar. If you want to step. We need some steppers to do that. Stepping into your brother's neighborhood to shoot it up. You're going to jail for a long time. You're gonna kill a kid. You're gonna shoot that gun, and because you don't shoot straight, you ain't never been to a range in your life. Your idea of shooting and practicing is shooting in the air. And listen, it's not working out. It's not working out. Barack, keep reading. Barack, what were you saying? Barack, what were you saying?
I said they shooting at clouds out of one.
They trying to kill God, Barack.
Yeah, good night.
You can't kill God with a pistol, Barack. It doesn't work out. That bullet goes up and comes right back down. So I can. Barack, keep reading. We're gonna bring a wrap to this class just now.
Khan, they shall come upon thee in their perfection.
Read.
For the multitude of thy sorceries, and for the grace
because you want to be a trapster, you want to be trap all day, trap all night. You're going to go through these curses, right? These horrible things. You're not going to be able to stop them. They're going to be in perfect way to mess your life up, to mess you all the way up in the game. right? It's gonna come, and you're not gonna be able to do it because it's from the Lord. You're not gonna be able to stop it. You're not gonna be able to stop it at all. You're going to die, and the doctors won't be able to fix you up because there's too many bullets in you. Because that the other kid, he was selling drugs too, and he bought a 30, and you only had a 10 clip, and he had 30 shots to put in your car because you wanted to go sell fentanyl, right? And y'all were warring over a drug block in Thunder Bay, right? Keep reading.
Khan. Oh, Salakia. Khan. And for the great abundance of thine enchantments.
Right. Listen, you were thinking that you're saying the things you say, the things you do is why you're doing it, and you're doing it in a large way. A lot of times you hear brothers convince other brothers to go sell drugs for them. Right? You got brothers who are convincing other brothers to go sell drugs for them. And now you're being judged for it. You're being caught up in these raids, right? Again, drug dealing is a horrible thing. If you're selling drugs, you're no better than a Ku Klux Klan member. Straight up and down. You're selling drugs, you might as well go get on a white hoodie. And it's that simple, because you thought you were gonna sell these drugs and you were just gonna have a good life. The good life, huh? That's what you thought? It doesn't go like that. You're gonna have the jail life, and it's gonna be unseasoned chicken on the last Thursday of every month.
Yeah, nice.
And you're gonna be looking for the biggest, smallest piece of chicken you can find. The chicken's so small, Barack, and they're digging through them hot trays for the biggest piece, right? And Barack, the guy who gets no respect on that range, he doesn't get no chicken that night, Barack. It's horrible. And then the following morning, a bunch of Caucasians rush your cell, talk about morning search, and they strip you naked in that shower so they can inspect your body to see if you're hiding anything. That's the life of a drug dealer, not the money, not the whores, not the fast cars, not the jewelry, not the nights in the club, right? That's listen, that happens for like a little second. You get like a little run. You might get a 2-year run, a 3-year run in the game. And then listen, if you survive 2 years, just know on the 3rd, 4th, and 5th, one of those years you're gonna be on the news for a big raid. Because you thought you were gonna buy this big old car, right? The police can't even afford the car, and they see you and they hate you because you're black, you're Hispanic. They're wondering, how did this nigga get this car? Let's report into CAS to the CRA. It's the Canada Revenue Agency. Let's see what happens. Now they get the report back. Oh, he's not making money like that. Okay, let's fully do a deep dive into. Let's follow him around. Listen, here's another thing. I'm gonna hit you to some game, right? And if you didn't hear anything I said, hear this part, because once you hear this part, it's gonna let you know. And all right, this is something I realized and I figured it out because I started seeing it. Right. And as I came, listen, confession is good for the soul. When I came home, I was listening to the truth, but I wasn't sure if I wanted to continue. I wasn't sure if this is just something that's going to entertain me or am I going to take this thing seriously. Right. There's a series of things that started to happen. Right. And I didn't realize it until I spoke to I spoke to someone who's very, very familiar with law enforcement, and they broke down what was happening. Right, because we got police officers in our neighborhood, and there's a couple black guys in the neighborhood that are police officers. Right, they come around the neighborhood a lot. Like you might see them patrolling, you might see them pop up at the community center. Right, I asked them, listen, what is going on with the police? Why does it feel like I'm being investigated? I'm not even doing nothing, but it just feels like someone's watching me. He said, yeah, someone is watching you. And I said, what? Basically, this is a conversation, Barack. Yeah, someone is watching you. What do you mean someone's watching me? I haven't been doing anything. I just came home not too long ago. They say, yeah, but we got a thing called the roll around. Barack, in every division, there is a group of police officers that go down the list of brothers and sisters who've been arrested for certain crimes in their division. They just go down the list.
The lockout, if I may.
And what they do is they follow that brother for about 2 to 3 weeks. It's called a roll around. Barack?
So basically, that roll around is how they're so successful in catching repeated offenders, right?
So like you say that again?
I mean, so like that so-called roll around tactic is how they're so successful in catching repeated offenders.
Right. Right. They basically trying to roll you up into your next charge. That's what it really is. They're trying to roll around until they spot you, follow you as you rolling through the streets. They rolling with you, right? Everyone's just rolling. And then they roll you up into another charge. And you're like, what the hell? How did you guys even know? And sometimes brothers think there's a snitch. Well, no, there isn't. There's just a group of Caucasians or heathens or police officers whose job is to watch you. They have a budget literally to watch you for about 2-3 weeks. Because you might not sell dope today, but sometime out of this week, you're going to sell dope. And if we catch you doing it once, we're going to put you in the investigation. Right. So with that said, again, it seems very weird that these charges were stayed, right? It seems horribly weird that these charges were stayed. Where is the dope that was taken off the street? Was it preserved enough for them to go to trial with it in case they need to test it again, in case the defendants need to test it again, right? No one, we read earlier, one lawyer said his lawyer, his client was prepared to fight because he was innocent. We don't know, maybe, who knows, right? But he said he was prepared to fight. That means he could have called that evidence into the court. The charges all got stayed. They decided it's not good to go with this court case. Where's the dope? Put that dope back on the table again. Give us a live press conference. That like still here. We haven't destroyed it. Barack, you had something before we close out?
Can I have the security announcements?
Yeah, no sweat. Right. So once again, Priest and Officer 1000 Zabaja of the I.S.U.P.K. under Commander General YAHANNA, right? Started at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Right, and we teach that Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are the Israelites. Again, we'll be doing our podcast tomorrow at 5 p.m., The Rise 1969 on this channel. And all our classes throughout the week will be going on at the correct times on the channels that they're supposed to be on. With that said, I'm going to pass this class to Barack Ali. Clap it up.
God. This is the I.S.U.P.K. security announcements. We are the I.S.U.P.K, the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. Start at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Rule for new brother and sister. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to share themselves with the world. If they need transportation, a teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There's another 6 months in which the brother and sister will court each other. After the 6 month period, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment. Numbers chapter 18, verse 21, and Malachi chapter 3, verse 8 to 10. Means tenth in the Hebrew, ma'ashara. 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you. Give to the treasury department, priest fund. Free will offering for priests, not mandatory. Whatsoever amount you'd like. Upcoming holy convocation, we have the memorial of blowing of the trumpets, which falls, give me 1 second, So we have the memorial of blowing of trumpets, which is the first day of the 7th month, which falls on Friday, the 15th of September. this year in 2023. You can read more about it in the book of Leviticus, chapter 23, verse 24 to 25. And reminder to all Akim and Aquatians to check the bulletin board in the hallway of the school if they have a physical location. If any brother wants to be a trooper in the school to start wearing all black, boot, shirt, pants, headband, and scarf, for that, they're going to give a courtesy salute to the brothers and a courtesy salute to the sisters. Minavijal Majam, which means to stand. Minavijal Majam Shabbat. Amajam. Barak. Yahweh Ba Shem Yahweh Shai Brakatam. Yajamata, which means hands down. Sar, which means to turn. So Minavijal, turn and face the sisters if you have any in your presence. Minavijal, we're going to give them a courtesy salute as well. Minavijal Majam Shabbat. Majam, Barak, Yahweh Shamar Alatan Ba Shem Yahweh Shai. Yajamata, class dismissed.